I want to make one change to this real quick, and that's just going to help us understand, how do I say it? It's going to just serve as another refinement of the design. So we really want to have some pectoralis muscles. We want a lot of bulk, so I'm going to actually extend this sternal keel as far out and as far back as possible, because we really want to get as much torque and as much power from those muscles as possible. So that's really starting to extend past the boundaries of the rib cage. So when we do that, that's when you got to start thinking, and that's actually really where this wishbone design comes in, because the wishbone is really about bridging that gap. Now, it's not a strong structural element. That's actually the coracoid that's hugging the rib cage, right? And buried in there, and very much connected right to where the sternal keel connects to the rib cage, and then directly this column support for what then becomes this massive flapping wing, right? So the wishbone is really more about just stabilizing a little bit of it. Now, this is a dramatization, because in all actuality it's a little bit more along these lines. Now that I'm destroying this purity of straightness. So, cool. So it's a little bit different. This is a dramatization, but it works. Now, that done and said, let's talk about muscular attachment, and let's talk about pulling wings down. So, of course, the obvious thing, and you know what? Why don't we do something cool? I'm going to go into skeleton. I'm going to go to material, and I'm going to say color fill object. And now I'm going to go into red wax, and I'm going to leave material. I'm going to leave material and RGB on. Okay, and go into insert sphere. Sorry, got to do that again. And let's just add this on as though they are red wax. Oof, that took a little bit. There's easier ways to do what I just did. Far easier ways. I don't know why I chose the difficult path. Cool. And what are we going to do? Pull that up. Let's just have them intersect each other right now. Okay, but that's that mechanism pulling down on the wing. And then we need that other mechanism, which is going to be pulling up on the wing, and this is, in this case, coming same area, but from the back. So this is really important, especially when we get into doing these things ourselves. Can't get it on the other side of that humerus. Okay, it's going to run along that coracoid. That's probably pretty good. And go from there. Alright, and so that is a simple mechanism for lift and for pulling down, and with the relative importance of each one in there as well. And so again, we have very simple mechanisms. We have something that is going to flex this wing. Okay, and this is in humans, this is the bicep. The bicep flexes our arm. And I'm going to just put it into, but it really should be underneath the pectoralis. So, Q. Hit the wrong key. And let's just pull it there. There you go. So pull it underneath the pectoralis just like it is in us, and it's heading towards that joint. Okay, but it is quite clearly connecting to that arm, about like that. And then we get our mechanism, which is going to extend it. Okay, this is the tricep, which is moving from the ulna and the tip of the ulna. So I'll make it just touch that, and then deep inside. And get some of that wrapping that's happening in there. Just go the opposite with the bicep. Okay, real simple mechanism. I know you've been through this. Again, something that's going to handle flexion or extension, in this case extension. It's going to be basically on the outside of the bicep, and it's coming down. Like that. And then we have something else, which is going to be attaching kind of to the other side. And there we go. Cool. Okay, real simple process. Okay, but we don't have anything that's really stabilizing the body to this guy. Okay, we don't have much that's doing that. And so we should probably put some of that in now, and that might include, say, the deltoid, or something like that. Let's look at this again from the back, so you can be pulling in your reference. Okay, and let's see, what can we do? Can we put the deltoid in there, right? The deltoid is going to further reinforce. It's going to really, just like in a human, it's going to cover that up and go right in between the bicep and the tricep. Just like that. Okay, and so it's covering that one area where nothing was. I'm trying to draw. So we had something coming into the side, something coming into the back side. We had things coming from below that, things coming from below that. So we had the bottom covered, but we did not have anything from the top covering that. And again, strictly mechanical. You can call it the deltoid, but really strictly mechanical. Now, one final thing I'm going to kind of put in here. If you were making a mechanical device that you wanted to fold up into parts, okay, there's a lot of ways you can do that. Everybody knows about a jack, right? So they've got the scissor jacks, and there's a device in the center that will just raise them and lower them. Okay, and that's definitely one direction that you can go. But you could also have kind of like a, let's say, a hydraulic cylinder, the little tiny hydraulic cylinder piece here and here. Okay, and then these could be connected to things. Let's do this differently. Let's make this really small. And there you go. So at one point, we're going to have it scissor in like this, and there's this hinge mechanism in there. All right, now as this moves outwards, then the wing will, based on its connection, will start to extend a little bit more. Okay, as it moves inwards, then the wing is going to fold a little bit more upon itself. Right? That's the process for it moving out and moving back in if you had this hydraulic mechanism on the other end of it. And that's really what we've got with a bird. So you've got that tendon that stretches between the guys right here. Okay, and that tendon's attached to a muscle. Okay, and that muscle is pulling on it. So it's not quite the deltoid, it's something else entirely. And I am going to stretch it all the way out. Okay, we don't want it to just go straight across. You know, what is it in nature that's really just a straight mechanism like that? You want some kind of support that will pull it in and kind of how do I say it, bias it towards a certain direction. So we just want another connection. Okay. Okay, remember this is going to be in the front of the deltoid. And then real quick, okay, what do you know? In 15 minutes we just redid the whole structure of what we're talking about here, but we kept it fairly simple. Now there's trapezius, there's a whole bunch of those things. So let's look at those in the next video and then see how much imaginative anatomy we can start to do if we do our own.